Is that a bee trying to be around me? Goodness gracious, bee, go, go. Good morning. I'm out on my porch, back home in Mullins. And it's funny, so I got flowers all around me, the trees are going, and so the bees are loving it over here. Gotta get ready to start planting my vegetables. So these great pollinators, I have something to do. But I am on, I hope you guys can hear me. If you can, let me find where my comments are on this one. Just want to chat this morning. I'm going to tell you about what's going on, what's been going on with me. Last week was a very, very busy week, and I want to give you all an update. If you're watching it on replay, I appreciate you watching it on replay, and I thank you all that like and share and help me to get the word out. Um, it was a busy, busy, busy week. I hope you all enjoyed your spring break. Um, my husband had the children. He had our grandkids here this week, so that was good. I was bummed out that I missed seeing my four grandkids all week, but there was a lot that we had to do, and I'm gonna talk to you all about that. I see you all coming on, so that must mean you can hear me. Let me see where my comments are. If you guys can, if anybody can just post a comment, and then that would be awesome. I'll know that we had this two-way conversation going, so I can see it. Let me say, hey. Oh, and guess what, y'all? My mama came back with me. She's not staying long. Okay, my comments are going. All right, I can see you guys. She's not staying long, but she will be here. We have a little family thing coming up, and then mom's going to be with me for a little bit. So if you see me around town over the next few days, I will be with my mama this week. Yes, yes. All right. So I just wanted to jump on this morning for a little bit because it is a busy day in Mullins, like every day really is. There's a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock. I want to make my way to. A friend of mine, Pastor Minister Martina Rush, is opening up her mental health business right here on Main Street in Mullins. And she has a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock that I want to get over to. Okay. So, but let's talk about kind of what's going on in Mullins and the what I did last week at National Action Network. It was overwhelmingly awesome. I feel like everywhere I go, I bring Mullins with me. You're always with me in my heart, in my mind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Believe that. So I tried to post as much as I can at the conference so you all could see exactly what was going on. And I was at, for some of you who don't know, I'm making an assumption that you know, I was at the National Action Network conference in New York City last week. It started on Wednesday and it wrapped up on Saturday, and it was an action-packed event. I wanted to talk to you guys about kind of how we got there. So, if you can go, Mom, that's good. Mom's sitting out here with me. She's just going inside. Um, so how we get there, guys? We are dealing with, to me, a situation here in Mullins that I never anticipated would happen in my lifetime, and it's brought me a lot closer to what our ancestors were doing, were feeling. And that is from the movement perspective in terms of um, the right to vote, as well as, I'm gonna just say it, the backlash, right? What happens to people who take a stand? And I'm seeing it on both sides, right? So let me just kind of backtrack a little bit for you guys so you know how we got here. Um, Back in, man, so slavery ended in 1865, right? And um, and we all, I don't need to explain what slavery was or is to anybody. I am an African American. Personally am a descendant of Africans that were enslaved in America, and so are the majority of the people who live in this beautiful city. Not all, but the majority. And so, what happens during slavery was that African Americans, we were not allowed to vote at all. We're not permitted to vote, amongst a whole bunch of other things. And so then in 1965, so that is just 4 years before I was born, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law by Lyndon B. Johnson. And Lyndon B. Johnson, he said in his speech that the vote is the most powerful. Winning that right to vote was better than winning any battle ever, any battle in any war. Your vote is the most powerful thing that you have, is the most powerful thing that you hold. Most powerful. There's nothing more powerful than your vote, right? So that was in 1965. We're not talking about 1865, 1765, 1665, 1965, right? So that was not that long ago at all. And that's what happened. But before 1965, so most of the people listening are probably were born not too long after 1965, or you were born in the 60s, you were born in the 50s. So imagine that your grandmother or your mother or your father were not able to vote unless they paid a poll tax. They had to recite the Constitution. How many people can do that right now? They had to count. They had to know how many jelly beans were in a jar. It was all of these things that were happening. And Martin Luther King and Fannie Lou Hamer and other civil rights activists, they said that's not fair. You know, we're no longer enslaved, but yet we have no power in our communities because we're unable to vote. Now, there were some things that happened after slavery with Reconstruction, but we could talk about that later. So here we are. Let me go back to 1965. So in 1965, the law was changed, and this is the law that gave African Americans the right to vote, which meant we then had the right to, make decisions in our own community, right? Which gave us the power to choose who would lead us, who our elected officials were, what gets funded. It gave us citizenship, right? True citizenship happens with that right to vote. So then what happened in 1965? Well, let me go back. In 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer, I gotta just tell you some of their stories, right? She was like determined to register to vote. She traveled for 24 miles. Now, when people in the 60s were traveling, they were traveling. They were on foot, they were on bus, cars just weren't really available to folks unless you had the means. So she traveled to register to vote, and she was jailed, she was abused. She came back home after registering to vote to talk to the person who she worked with, she was worked for, and they told her she needed to disavow that, right? So she took an awful lot of criticism, and she also went and spoke publicly about um, her efforts. And she was the president of the United States, the same LBJ, because this is in 1964. This is before he signed the Voting Rights Act. He had to interrupt. He didn't want the country to hear what she had to say. An African American woman. She said it. John Lewis, that next year, he was beat, his skull was cracked. He went on to be a congressman, and he actually has authored, he's since passed away, but he's authored the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, because there's been things in our voting rights that have been gutted for African Americans. And that's why this is this is why this is very important. And it's so important. It's the most important tool that we ever have, right? So I'm still in the 60s, y'all. I'm still in the 60s. So including impacted Mullins. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act was passed into law, which then protected cities like Mullins, South Carolina, from having our vote disenfranchised, having nefarious entities, right? I'm not going to say who. I don't know who would be behind wanting to do some of the things that are being done, but any nefarious entities from disenfranchising our right to vote, our right to have the power to make decisions. So then in 1965, I'm going to move up a little bit. So there were these different sections in the Civil Rights Act that protected rights. And yes, it was based on race. So, I am an African American female. I am indeed the first African American female mayor of the city of Mullins. I wear that every day. I can't run from that. It's just who I am and it's what I look like. However, throughout my whole career, when I ran for office, I work for every citizen of Mullins, whether you voted for me or not, whether you like me or not, whether you like how I dress, you like the car I drive, none of that matters. Because at the end of the day, it's all about Mullins, and Mullins is poised for greatness. Let me get back to my voting story. So in 1965, LBJ, President of the United States, he signed in this historic law. So then what that meant is that there's a section in the law that said, hey, look, cities, especially cities in the South that were discriminating against African Americans, you cannot make certain changes without it going to the federal government because you've been shown and proven to do the wrong thing. And so, and that protected African American folks. So then in 2004, so I'm coming to Mullins, okay? So now I'm coming up Mullins. In 2004, so this was, my goodness gracious, I was married, my daughter was 4. The city council, and I don't know why, but for whatever reason, they voted and approved to change the election in the city of Mullins from November of even years, which is when everybody votes. Like right now, we've got the midterms, things are going on all over the nation. We're talking about voting. In April, next year, on odd years, nobody's really even thinking about voting. We have an election tomorrow here in Mullins, but it's still an even year. It's an even year. It's when people are talking about voting. It's when other people are voting. So it's kind of like an election year, and we are in an election year right now. So in 2004, they decided that. But written into the ordinance was the law from 1965. One little line that said you have to have pre-clearance. Because the law said you just can't change when people vote, especially, communities like ours that are majority minority. It's just what it is. So that pre-clearance must have never happened because the city of Mullins, we voted in November of even years for the last 30 years. Last 30 years. So now let's fast forward to this year, 2026. So in 2026, it was brought to my attention that someone or some people or some entities wanted to change when the city of Mullins was voted and will vote. And they were relying on a very old document, that document from 2024, to change it. And they were going to do it without any communication to the citizens. And I rejected that. I rejected that strongly. That in America, no one should be able to unilaterally make changes to our elections. So I did it. And then, I'm not going to go into the who shot John because I have received quite a lot of backlash from from all different places, right? And if you, for me, it's not about me. Yes, my businesses are being attacked. I'm personally being attacked. I'm being mocked. I'm being called names, right? Everything you could possibly imagine is happening to me, but it's not about me. It's not even about Mayor Pickett. It's about the mayorship that and the city council, right, going forward, I am taking a stand for. So knowing that what was happening where the city council, um, not the city council at this point, it was one person unilaterally who was going to change our elections. One person, um, under the direction of somebody that I don't even, still to this day, who knows where the direction came for this one person to go and make changes to our election. So that happened. And this is legal, right? And so what I did is I reached out to civil rights organizations. I reached out to them all. I reached out to the NAACP, the ACLU, the Racial Justice Network, National Action Network, the SCLC, right? I sent letters and I explained to them what was going on in the town that I love, in the town that I lead, that the citizens, the date that we vote, was under threat. And one person unilaterally, under direction of some other people that I don't know who, it was not done with transparency, we're going to change it. And it was a lot, y'all. But let me tell you, there was one organization that stepped up, and that was the National Action Network. The National Action Network is a nationwide organization that fights for civil rights, voting rights, human rights, and they heard my plight. And they met with me. I showed them the information I have, and they have provided us the support that we need. And now, in the county of Marion, we have our first National Action Network chapter. So some people are confused, like, what is the National Action Network? It's similar, for just to simplify it for some people, it's similar as the NAACP. Except for, I would say, the difference with the National Action Network and what I learned this last week was the A in action. They take action. And sometimes taking action, it makes people feel uncomfortable. But we have to, because inaction would mean me just sitting here and knowing that we have big things to do in our city. And there's another B. We have big things to do in our city and not letting anybody know, not trying to address it, right? I am standing firm that I believe changing our elections is absolutely wrong. And it's wrong on several footings, right? One, citizens of Mullins, you've elected me and your city council to serve for 4 years, not 4 years and 5 months. If we're to serve for 4 years and 5 months, then you should be the ones to say it, not the city council. Oh, creating a new ordinance. So let me tell you what happened. So remember, I was saying that one person said that they can make the change unilaterally without anybody's input because they found a very old document. And our current Muni code doesn't seem to be updated. So I'm like, you know what? There's some issues with this. We need to slow the roll. This is an election year. Let's do what we need to do. Let's address it. But we shouldn't be rushing to make any changes. There's something that's not right. So that didn't work. And then the city had to create, we have to create a new ordinance. Okay, perfect. We have to create a new ordinance. Let's set the record straight. The city of Mullins has already been voting in November of even years for 30 years. My suggestion was let's create a new ordinance. Let's keep it and also Terry Davis, keep it in November. Let's just keep everything the same, right? Let's fix the record, make sure our laws are correct, make sure we're in accordance with the laws. But it was not received. And so the ordinance passed first reading to say move it to April. Tomorrow is second reading, and then after tomorrow, it's going to be law. So now here's the situation. And this is why I need support from all citizens, not just African American citizens, but all citizens that want to stand up for justice and what is right. One, let's go back to you elected me for 4 years, not 4 years and 5 months, right? So any change to that should also be the citizens that say that that has to be done. Two, when we move, when we vote, when other people aren't voting, then the city of Mullins is going to have to pay the burden, because when everybody is voting, then all the campaigns, all the entities share in the cost of actually hosting an election, which is not cheap, right? You got to hire people, you got to get the information out, you got to run the vote, you got to count the vote, all that stuff. So that's another reason why I'm against it. Then three, the citizens have been voting for 30 years the same way. So why rush to change it now during an election year? It's been November for the last 30 years. That's what the citizens are accustomed to. Why change it? And lastly, it's the voting patterns, just period, right? If the citizens want to change the date they vote, then the citizens should be the one to make that decision. That's my opinion. And citizens, you can. It's up to you. You just have to let your city council know what you think, right? I vote in November. That's when everybody votes. That's when we've been voting for the last 30 years. Why change it? So I'm often asked why. Mayor, why do you think folks are trying to change it? I can't speak to other people's motives, but I can tell you this. It was no coincidence. You just don't lay around and wake up one day and say, hey, let's change the day that the city of Mullins votes. It was deliberate, and it was done without transparency, in my opinion. That is just not something that you do on a whim. So that's kind of how I got to this point. And, the baiting that's going on out there, it's really bad. And I hate that, some folks feel tied up in it, especially those of you that are watching me on social media, because you're on social media. It's not everything that's being said. I have, since the day that I got here, I have made a promise to you that I was going to be transparent, that I was going to be upfront, that I was going to be honest, and I have done just that. Every move I have made, my calendar is open, right? My door is open. My phone, like, I am here to serve you, the citizens of Mullins. And there's so many things. We are poised for greatness. There's so many things we can do that I want to be at the helm of seeing done for our citizens, right? Opening up the parks, giving our children things to do, economic development, bringing jobs to the city of Mullins with living wages, living wage jobs, working on literacy in our community, cleaning up our city, dealing with crime, right? So for all of those things and more, it's a conversation for another day, and I will have this conversation with you all. We need to change our form of government. We really do. We need to have a leader in town, because a lot of you guys think I could do things, but I can't. My hands are tied, right? But first things first, what I'm here to talk about right now is the vote. And the vote is the most powerful tool that we have as citizens, no matter your race or ethnicity. And if somebody, whomever they may be, is trying to take away your right to vote when you're accustomed to voting, that is not right. That is wrong. And that is straight out the history books. And not too far ago, we're just talking about, the 1960s. So I don't see any questions. Any questions, any comments? I hope that you guys can, this help to explain a little bit more about why I am, and and I'm an activist. You can't mess with folks' civil rights and voting rights and think that I just can't. You elected me to be here for the citizens of Mullins, and that's what I want to do. And that's what I've been doing, 10 toes down every single day, 24 hours a day. I have you with me. I told you that I was going to be a full-time mayor, and I am. If there's some people don't like it, I feel sorry for them. Are they making my life difficult? Yeah, y'all. They are making my life difficult, but I press on, right? I press on. So today, um, it's important. I We have a meeting at Mount Carmel Baptist Church at we're gonna actually have we're gonna have hot dogs out there and chips starting at 5:30. The meeting will start at 6:30. So you can get there anytime between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, 6:15. Um, and our meeting will start promptly at 6:30. We will have singing, we will have some speakers. I actually have somebody who's flying in, Lord willing, he doesn't have any issue with this flight, from the Colorado National Action Network chapter. He's the president, and so he's going to be coming in and he's going to talk to us. And we have other speakers that are going to be on deck to talk and tell you more about National Action Network. National Action Network, I wish you guys, we've shared videos of what happened last week. It is not for a specific ethnicity of people. Everybody was there. I sat down with brothers and sisters from all over this country of all different ethnic backgrounds, right? The fact is that when it comes to voting rights, it is African Americans that have been disenfranchised in this country by law. And it was law that protected us. So now we have this law that our city council is going to be voting on tomorrow that could undo those protections. And here's an interesting thing too, and then I gotta go. I've been talking for a while. No comments. I hope you guys are okay with what I'm saying. I'm not seeing any comments back. But the it's not just Mullins. It's happening all over the country where our voting rights are being under attack. And there's another section of the law, section 2, that the Supreme Court is hearing, and they may gut that, right? And the John Lewis voting rights bill is not even, we need to get that passed. If we didn't need to protect voting rights by law in America, then we would have never had this issue coming out of 1865, but we do. And so we're at a pivotal point in Mullins where we really need everybody to stand up for what's right, whether you look like me or not. If you believe, like I believe, that voting should be free and up to the citizens to decide and not a few, then join me today, April 13th, Monday at 5:30 at Mount Carmel Baptist Church, where we can hear from folks. We can find out about what's going to happen at the city council meeting tomorrow, and then how you can get involved. Thank you so much, Patricia. I appreciate the feedback. And, just keep praying for our city, and just know that whatever you hear, call and verify it with me. Um, I am open. I'm open. You guys can come see me. You can call me. Don't come to my house. You can wave though. This is where I'm home at. I love it when you guys come by and wave. Do that. But call me. I'm at City Hall, and schedule appointment to meet with me. Don't just assume what people are saying about your mayor is true, because it's not. And I put myself out there for you guys. I do love you all, and hopefully I will see you tonight, 5:30, 6 o'clock at Mount Carmel Baptist Church. Have a blessed day, everyone.